This is Hot Indonesia, your weekly window into what Indonesians are thinking and talking about. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's HI Hot List. Rebuilding Nepal, why it's in Indonesia's interest to help earthquake recovery efforts. Restricted ride, does it make sense at all to ban unmarried men and women from riding on the same motorbike? And royal treatment from London to Jogja, young ladies are in the spotlight. Here beside me on this day, Yenny Wahid, of course, director of the Wahid Institute, second daughter of Indonesia's fourth president, and occasional tweeter. You got to tweet more. Okay. I know, you're busy. Wow. Okay, Sarah's out. Sitting in for her is Handi Kurniawan, an executive at Sinar, one of the country's biggest conglomerates, and former Hawaii resident. You lived there for
I studied there.
Okay.
Got a scholarship from Hawaii.
Hot topic number one, rebuilding Nepal. Now, after the shaking stopped in the Himalayan country on April 25th, the devastation was painfully obvious. Shattered shrines, collapsed buildings, and more than 7,000 lives lost. 2 weeks after Nepal's biggest earthquake in 80 years, leaders say a huge international effort will be needed to rebuild, since Nepal is one of the world's poorest countries. Indonesia immediately sent or pledged $2 million worth of emergency aid to that area. In all, more than 4,000 people from 34 countries went in to assist in the rescue operations. But now it's time to begin the recovery, because the rescue portion is just about over.
Even before that, there has to be like disaster mitigation processes as well. So the issues of disease that could be disastrous as well if it's not being managed because of poor sanitations and lack of hygiene and all that, because there's no proper infrastructures.
And the numbers of victims keep increasing. Now it's like 7,500 and 14,000 injured, and so maybe I don't know what will be the final victims.
Yeah, because they're reaching the countrysides and inaccessible areas, and they're finding, and that's a sad part. In a developing country, it's tougher. In a poor country, because they don't have systems in place, as you said, to aid in natural disasters like this. I mean, you take 1995, the Kobe earthquake. I mean, that's Japan. I mean, they are prepared for this, and sometimes countries come back stronger because they pour in money into infrastructure. They rebuild, and they build earthquake-proof buildings, and hopefully that's what's going to be done in Nepal, at least Kathmandu, which is the capital.
Yeah, well, hopefully that this will bring a silver lining as well, in the sense that this will unite the Nepalese people, because they've had histories of infightings and royal killings and all that sort of thing. So hopefully this is one disaster, one calamity that will bring a good thing in the end.
This should be a wake-up call for us, because Indonesia is also on a volcanic change. And where I come from Pemalang, in central Java. We have the Gunung Slamet Mountains. It was never active, then suddenly became active. I think last year, and I'm not sure whether we have the prevention system or whether someone is really monitoring this. And in Nepal, I mean, it's unimaginable. Like 80 years, nothing happened, and then suddenly.
Some Nepalese said that they've always been prone to earthquakes and all that, because of the same geographical locations along some volcanic rings, But and they also criticized the government for not preparing themselves for any problems that might rise, and it did arose. So I think your point is quite correct.
Yeah, lessons to be learned when it hits others. We have to be ready. 80 years, you're right. The last big earthquake, that's a generation. So maybe they didn't think about it, But in Indonesia, they say several hundred earthquakes every day. Small ones, of course, we can't feel them. I mean, what do we need to do? I mean, safety measures, preparation, and plans for reconstruction. Because and I hate to say it, but we will be hit by something major, because it just is inevitable. That's what the scientists say.
Well, Japan, I mean, they've got these buildings codes, buildings regulations that mandated that most buildings would be can withstand earthquakes to send.
And they bend. They don't.
I'm curious whether we actually have sufficient people who really have the expertise of monitoring this, like our weather, and everyday weather forecast. frankly speaking, I'm not really believing in it.
Well, you haven't watched the Indonesia channel. We have a weather anchor.
Seriously, I'm not sure because when
The rain shaman, sometimes they screw up the whole.
You can stop the rain, but you don't know when it will rain. Yeah.
When I was in China, for example, people are really see the weather forecast and they believe in it. But here, like whenever we have the weather forecast for tomorrow, it's not accurate, and then the next day is also not accurate. So if this kind of thing is not accurate, what about this like volcanic movement? I think it's kind of like scary.
Well, I think earthquake movement, I would think, is easier to predict than the weather. I mean, that's you know what I mean,
Is it
because
so?
I think we see beneath the ground. You can measure it. When the clouds form, who knows, right? It's hard to predict. But especially in Nepal, though, getting back to the recovery issue, the economy there is primarily based on tourism. I mean, that's how they get most of their the funds.
Yeah.
So recovery is even more urgent because they don't have anything else to depend on, and tourists are not going to go there now. I mean, to climb the Mount Everest, to visit the city. So they need to get timely help.
Yeah.
Agree.
And Indonesia, we've had timely help from the world when tsunami hit. So I think it's time for us also to pay back and provide relief and help whenever we can.
But some public leader here has to stand up and say, or it doesn't have to be an elected official, that, hey, our time will come someday, unfortunately, and are we ready? And remind people, do you know earthquake procedures? Do you know where to go? Do you know what to do? And is government prepared to react to a major thing? Because if something hit today, I bet you a lot of people don't know what to do. And there'll be unnecessary accidents and injuries. Anyway, so that we have to be ready. That's a lesson to be learned. Okay, Hot Indo will continue shortly with Aceh's decision to ban unmarried couples from riding motorbikes together. Are you kidding? You're watching Hot Indonesia with me, guest host Handi Kurniawan. Here's Hot Topic and Yenny, of course. Here's Hot Topic number 2, restricted ride. The latest move towards stricter Sharia law in the country's northernmost province involves transportation. Lawmakers in North Aceh district have banned unmarried men and women from riding together on motorbikes. One official explained that singles riding together could lead to, quote, sinful acts. The law would take effect in May next year. It kind of makes you want to laugh and cry at the same time.
Maybe they're afraid that disaster would happen to them. Because some people actually said that all these earthquakes, tsunamis happen because there's morality of the people.
Is that it?
So low. Yes.
But public officials there are very serious about this. You remember 2 years ago, another Aceh district, another city, banned female motorbike passengers from straddling the motorbike. They had to ride side saddles.
If you had left to the Acehnese now, that is not the Acehnese, not the whole Acehnese, because there's so many Acehnese who don't agree with these things. They've left Aceh, unfortunately. There's a brain drain going on in Aceh because people just don't feel that they can live there under all this oppressive environment. But anyway, imagine
they can do what they want.
Imagine if Cut Nyak, the hero, the heroine of Aceh, was living in this condition. She wouldn't be able to lead a war.
Well, she cut their heads off. She cut their heads off with the sword. But seriously, the reaction from females in Aceh, we've been reading, has been negative. I mean, they're saying it's not only discriminatory, but it creates problem in commuting to work or school. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Handi, what was your reaction immediately?
My first reaction, what was actually the motive of having this kind of legislation? And the second thing I'm thinking is, what is the mechanism on how they are going to reinforce these rules? Like, how are they going to monitor? Is it there will be police?
Yeah, random stops like they do
people
now.
have to bring their marriage certificate with them when they travel?
Exactly. So I kind of confused. But number one, I want to be very sensitive on this one because they said this is religion or those kind of stuff, right?
Well, that's the thing, because people hide behind religions to issue all sorts of funny edicts.
Well, they're saying it's based on what Islamic teachings. I mean, does it teach that you cannot ride together on a motorbike? I don't think so.
Islamic teachings espouses decency. So if people then, it doesn't mean that you have to restrict yourself so much that you cannot live. That it's not practical anymore to leave. I mean, Islamic. Look, we've got female, members of the families of the prophets who actually led war on a camel. Something that would be unheard of in Aceh today. I mean, they wouldn't allow that to happen. So this is too. I think it's too restrictive. And also, if they're going to talk about sinful act, there is a bigger issue in Aceh, which is more sinful, which is corruption cases. Level of corruption there is very high. That is more sinful because it takes away.
Maybe
so
the public
many
officials are
of the
misdirecting
public.
attention by passing these kind of things.
Could
And
be
Handi
that.
raised a good point, though. What about unmarried people riding in a car?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or in a boat, or or walking together? I mean,
Yes.
you can do sinful acts just standing there. I mean, in a way,
Yeah.
I'm told.
Well, I've heard all these reports from many people there, especially from female activists and from students here, that this is just too oppressive and it doesn't give them any sense. It takes too much. There are too many excesses, negative excesses. For example, when kids are doing their homeworks together in groups, kids. Boy and girl, sometimes they will be ambushed and they will be accused of doing immoral things.
But
when they were just doing homework.
One of the other
together.
bylaws passed in this recent legislative session that you have to separate male and female students in high school. I mean, that's. So my point is, those who don't know, outside the Aceh region, outside of this country, since 2001, it is granted special autonomy. They can pass their own laws. Caning, for example, and stoning is still allowed there under Sharia law. I mean, why is it so different from the rest, Yenny? To give people outside of Indonesia an idea why Aceh was given this.
The Acehnese, they wanted independence. So. In a way to quote unquote to appease them, they were asked if there's anything else that they would want in exchange to separate from Indonesia and this that Islamic law, but still it's under the conditions that it does not violate the national law. So there is that big condition that it has to, even though they have their special rights, but if it violates the national law, then the national law holds.
Okay, but these little things like
priority.
not riding together on a road, that doesn't violate national law, right? There's no.
That's the problem. So they're playing things like that, and that falls under local regulations. So it's, but if the essence is against the national law, then people can start appealing.
I'm more concerned about what you just said, Dalton, separating the male student and female students, because I believe that diversity is better. And I saw when I was in high school in Yogyakarta, there is a male school, there's a female schools, and they actually become more aggressive when they see each other.
Even in America, Catholic schools separate, boys' schools, girls, and then
And they're more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
When you're denied something, you think about it more.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
sex and power.
You said the right
when
word.
You don't
It's a human
when
nature.
you don't have it, you think about it all the time.
Oh yeah, but
Right, Doctor?
that's what I hear, but it's not my problem. But this is another case, basically, and I think you agree, of men making decisions for women that women don't see as a problem.
This will affect not more than just women. This affect the economy, for example. What's going to happen to all the object drivers? I mean, the informal economy is what boosts the economy, Indonesia's economy overall. Without the informal economy, then we'll have a very high level of unemployment. So, the informal economy is actually the backbone of the economy in a way. So if you take away this element,
It's
from
silly, but
the society,
they're
then
very serious about religion there. Maybe you should go and take a visit, do a road trip, and tell them it's okay.
Well, I don't think I want to go to Aceh because I will not be allowed to wear pants there.
Really? What do you-
Yes.
So you have to wear just a long robe.
Long robes, yeah. Long
Do you have
skirts.
those?
Huh?
Do you have any?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but why would I want to do that?
Well, to show that, to show that you're tolerant and that they should practice.
They know
it.
that I'm tolerant
Yeah.
because they watch TV.
Yeah.
But if you go there deliberately and that's the problem, right? Like what I said in the beginning, the brain drain. People don't want to visit Aceh. And when people don't want to visit Aceh, people don't want to invest in Aceh, people don't want to do anything in Aceh, do any activities,
It has much
then
larger
it will
impact, yeah.
have
It seems
an
like they're
economic
heading
impact.
to a more conservative interpretation of Islam,
Yeah.
and that's where they're heading. Okay, more hot Indo is ahead. The newest girl to get the royal treatment. You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, royal treatment. Followers in England and around the world offered congratulations when the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Wills and Kate, gave birth to their second child. Charlotte is now the 4th in line for the British throne. 3 days later, halfway around the world in Yogyakarta, another royal event, Sultan Hamengkubuwono X named his oldest daughter Gusti the crown princess, meaning she will be next in line to rule that province. Of course, we all know Jogja has special status because the Sultan is also the governor of the province. But questions have been raised, and I think, Yenny, you know this better than me, about whether the law states that the leader must be male and whether she actually is next in line. You're not quite sure, right?
The law, national law, you mean? The Jogja law.
Yeah,
The Jogja law. Yeah, there has been controversy around that issue because it, some people say that is actually not meant like that. I mean, it's like it's a mistypo or anything like that, So, but before they do something about it, then it would remain a source of contention.
But so the Sultan tried to put an end to the questions and
Of
said
succession.
she is it. Yeah. I mean, are you a royal watcher? Handi, you follow all these?
Well, I studied in Jogja, right? So I also read that Sultan changed in the what kind of letter?
The
I'm
royal
not sure.
decree.
Yeah, from Buwono to Bawono.
Yeah.
Which apparently
the wording.
Yeah, wording. Buwono is for male, and Bawono can also male and female.
Yes.
So he changed that one.
More gender-friendly terms.
More gender-friendly term. So maybe he wants to have term not just Sultan but also Sultana.
But by appointing her as the crown princess, I mean it's directly pointing the way.
Yeah, no one's
for
going to
her.
go against what he says. And,
Well, the brothers do.
The brothers.
The brothers are making noises and all that. But the Sultan has the full rights to decide.
why
who's
did
going
they
to be
think
the
they wanted to
successor.
be the next ruler if he?
Well, because he doesn't have any sons.
That's right, 5 daughters. So he had
Five
no
daughters,
choice. Yeah, he had
yes.
no choice.
So they probably think that there's a chance there, because traditionally there's always been like male successors. But Indonesia, I mean, well, not Indonesia, Nusantara, that's the areas before Indonesia was what's called. We've always had traditions of queens, female leaders as well, princesses. The Queen Sima, Tribuana Tunggadewi. This is the mother of Hayam Wuruk.
We have a royal history, you're saying, in Indonesia. So we follow things around the world. But in England, it's mostly ceremonial. Here in Indonesia, especially in Jogja, the royals have real duties.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rule the province. So that's a little different than Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Charlotte, getting back to England, follows her brother George, her father, and her grandfather as the heir to the British throne. Charles, the prince, is probably wondering when he's going to take over. The mother's going to live to 105. But is Gusti, Crown Princess Gusti, ready to take over from her father, do you think?
Well, I think, the parents have got this certain values system that they have passed on to their kids. And I think there's a big challenge in Jogja now, which is the level of intolerance is increasing. So whoever is...
Intolerance toward other
towards
religions?
other religions, toward others, minority groups especially. So whoever is the successor would be, has to be someone that can hold it together. You know what I mean? So, Gusti is a nice woman, and I really hope that she'll be able to pull it together. And I would love to see a sultana, of course, being female myself, but to be able to do the job properly, she needs all the support that she can get.
Yeah, and then her father's relatively young, 69. He's not going to abdicate anytime soon. Real quickly, last thing, I'll go around. Who is your favorite royal in the world? It can be living or dead. Who is your favorite? Handi, you have one? Who do you love?
One of the most famous dish royalty in Indonesia is like Majapahit.
Okay, so you're a very historic guy. You like history. I'll say mine, and you can keep thinking it. My favorite royal in the world in history was King Kamehameha, which is the first king of Hawaii, where I'm from, and where Handi studied his MBA. He united the islands, so he's kind of like the first one who bring the 8 major islands together. So,
Right.
and I was born in the same town as him, so we have a royal background. Little link there.
Majapahit also.
I've got two. I've got
United,
two.
right?
Majapahit
okay,
also
so same
united
kind of guy.
Indonesia.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got 2.
Well, Queen Elizabeth I is
Okay.
that's a clear favorite, but also the royal couple, King of Jordan and the Queen Rania.
Because
I like them. No, because their stand is very clear against terrorism and against all this radicalism that's happening in the world, and they've been very active. They've been very vocal about it.
So
they've
good
been
role
very
models
firm.
for royalty.
Yes.
Okay. It is feedback time now. Now you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Carolyn posted this on our Facebook page following our debate over the executions of 8 drug prisoners. Quote, they should have gotten life in prison. Well, some say that's even a tougher punishment, Carolyn. If you have any feedback on what you've heard or would like to suggest something for us to talk about, please email us at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Indonesia channel, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Final words time, Handi.
We become what we think about most of the time. So if we think big, we become big. If we think positive, we become positive. If we think negative, we become negative. So think positive, be kind to others, do your best, and amazing thing will happen.
Wow, sound like golden moments with, what's that guy on the other channel? Anyway, my former network. Final words, very nice. Final words, Yenny.
You've probably heard of the statue that Dalton. Sorry, not Golden. It's kind of Dalton helped build of my dad when he was young. And people are having fun taking pictures of themselves with this young Gus Dur statue. So send us your pictures, and the most interesting picture might get something. We will send you something.
With the hashtag, certain
With the
hashtag?
hashtags, hashtags, Gus Dur and me in Instagram, and then at Twitter, just send it to us at the White Institute account.
Yeah,
Yenny
and the
Wahid.
statue of young Gus Dur is in Amir Hamza Park in Menteng.
Taman Amir Hamza Park.
Yeah,
but
so
there are many statues of Gus Dur also. If you cannot go to Amir Hamza Park, then there's one in Bogor. There's also one in Jogja in Pakem area, in Roma Sindu's place.
Okay, so like a little selfie with the statue.
Yes.
Okay, and they win a prize. Okay, very
Yes.
nice. Okay, my final words.
The most interesting one, not all of them.
Okay,
And
got
the
it.
most interesting one.
Yeah.
One last comment on the executions. Australia's Prime Minister said one right thing the other day, that the establishment of scholarships in the name of the 2 executed Aussies was open to profound question. Yes, Tony Abbott, forgiveness is a virtue, but I agree that honoring 2 drug smugglers in our educational system is a little bit off. Right? That is Hot Indo. They didn't agree. That's Hot Indonesia for Yenny and Handi. I'm Dalton
I just
Tanonaka.
heard about it. There's a
See you again next time.